So, this episode is actually a replay from one of my clubhouse rooms. So, you can listen to the first half, which has all the education about your 7 steps. And then the second half, I'm working with a coaching client. So, let's talk about what your online business needs to have as you're moving forward.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here's your host, Julie Hood.
Hello, y'all. So glad you could be here on a Friday afternoon. I hope you're having an incredible week, getting ready for the holidays. It's so much fun. And the other thing that I do a ton of at this time of the year is a lot of planning for what I want to do next, or just thinking about what needs to stay the same, what do I want to make sure that I change, and what I'm going to keep for 2023. So I thought I would do a quick room with y'all to talk about what it is that you might want to be doing for the year ahead and the steps that I see you heading towards, because there are so many different ways that you can pull together your online business. And one of the things that I've seen happening so often, and it always makes me sad when I see this, is that people will be doing things in the wrong order. So, and it's really essential to make sure that as you're going through everything that you're pulling together for your online business, as you're working on all these things, I really want you to have them in the right order. So that's a little bit what we're going to be talking about today, is exactly what's the best order to put things in. And I've spent 20 years playing with this, where should we start? Where should we wait? And what should be done first and what should be done later? And it's one of the things that I spend a lot of time on with my students, because we want to help them make sure that they're selling their courses and getting in front of their students as quickly as possible. So there's this phrase that one of my coaches used years and years ago that has kind of stuck with me. So you might want to grab a sheet of paper in case you want to take any notes today. But that is that you want to pick the fastest path to cash. So try and say that like fast 10 times, but the fastest path to cash. And the reason for that is that then you've got some capital so that you can keep moving things forward. You can get more coaching, you can get more courses to help you out, you can get going with some assistance, like some VA assistance. So that's kind of the high level of this, is figuring out what's the thing that I need to start with, and then what do I need to fill in with next. So I've got 7 different steps, which I know kind of sounds like a lot, but once you hear them, you'll get the feeling and kind of understand the order that they are in. I'm also pinning a link up here at the top if you're interested. This is a freebie that you can grab to help pull out like the 4 systems that you need to have a successful online business. And it's just a real short, quick idea to kind of help you stay organized. So if you want to grab that, you can click on that link and enter your name, and it will send it to you by email. Okay, so what are these 7 steps that you want to be thinking about for your online business? The very first one, and you guys will be surprised, it's not create a course. The first one actually that I want you to do is I want you to get a way to do a one-on-one consultation, because you can usually charge a little bit more for those. You can also make them super simple, where you're just either on Zoom, you could be on Clubhouse. Like, it does not have to be a complicated thing. You don't need a big sales page, but it gives you a way to get some cash going pretty quickly. So one-on-one consults, think about how you could be helping people in the area that you're in. Like, what's something that people really want to talk about? What is it that they're just dying to get some answers to? And that's what you can use. So that's the first step, is figuring out that one-on-one consult. Now, we're not going to do tons and tons of these forever because then it's going to take up all of your time. But we just want a few of these going so that then you've got some capital to work with. Okay, so that's step number one, is getting that going. Step number two is to put together a mini course that you can sell. So, and these are a little bit interchangeable, like you could do these at the same time or do one or the other first, but working on that mini course is another way that we're going to get something together quickly. We're going to have it available. So as people are finding you and they're like, ooh, who is this cool person? What is it they're doing? And they've got a way to just plunk down their card and get connected with you pretty fast on the mini course. So the one-on-one coaching is more of the high level, little more expensive. The mini course is the little less expensive way for people to get started. And the best part about that is that you then can put that course together quickly. This does not have to be your signature, everything I know course about my topic. It's going to be something tightly pulled together, a very specific outcome that you can spend just a little bit of time on and getting that set up. So those are the first two steps. Step number three is to set up your freebie and your landing page. So this is so essential, gang. I know you're probably like groaning at this one. Everybody kind of groans at this one when they hear me say it, because they're like, oh my gosh, do I have to do this whole email thing? And yes, it's the only thing that I require my students to do for marketing. The rest of the stuff, we're very careful about. Where do you want to play? Like, what things do you want to do? So I don't say like everybody has to do Instagram. But I do say everybody has to do email. So that's the only one. And here's why. Let me explain it so you can kind of understand a little bit more. The reason is it's such a good place for people to buy from you. I see Jana down in the audience. She does an amazing job with helping people on Pinterest, and she gets tons of her sales from her email list. Even with everything else that she does, tons of her audience buy from her email list. I have another client of mine that's almost 100% from their email list is where people find out about what they're doing and then they go buy. So I want you to make sure that you've got the freebie and the landing page set up so that you're gathering folks as they come across you. Full disclosure, you see how I've got that at the top of the room here. Freebie for you guys to go grab and get on my email list. So same sort of thing. That's your next step. Then step number 4 is to get used to sending out something every week to your list, and preferably something that they can go click on. So I want to give you a couple ideas here of how this could work, because what we want to do is we want to start nurturing the folks that we're connecting with, the ones who are raising their hand and saying, hey, what is it you've got? I'm interested in your topic. And then we want to keep talking with them so they get to know you a little bit more. So here's a few different things that you can send in this weekly email, and keep it simple so it's not complicated or time consuming for you. Maybe you do a Facebook Live. I was talking with Santa, one of my students this morning, and she's like, I really like to do Facebook Lives. And I said, perfect. Every week, do a Facebook Live, pick one topic that you want to talk about, and then the next day, send out an email and book live so that they can come listen to you. Talk about it a little bit in the email, kind of jazz it up so it sounds intriguing, and then give them the link to go sign up. What happens then is people get used to the fact that you share not only really good content and information with them. When they get an email from you, they get used to clicking through, because what's going to happen then is a little bit further down the line, we're going to share your one-on-one coaching. We're going to share your mini course. They're going to be used to clicking over from your emails to go find out about that. And here's some more things that you can include in that weekly email. Let's say you don't want to do a Facebook Live. You could do a Clubhouse room and have the replay and share that out with your audience. You can do a blog post if you love to write, just share a blog post. One of my other students, she's a huge writer. Every Sunday she sends out like a spiritual kind of email to her list, and they get used to clicking over to read her blog post for the week. If you're doing, if you really like podcasting, maybe you just want to share your podcast episode that week. It does not have to be complicated in order to do this. And then let's say you come across those weeks where you're like, don't have anything to share this week. In those weeks, then I want you to share somebody else's resource. So maybe it's something you listen to and you're like, oh, this was so good. This would be great for my audience to hear. Or maybe it's a tool that you use that you're like, oh, they need to know about this. So you talk about it a little bit, write a paragraph or so, and send them a link. So the email part of this, which is steps 3 and 4, does not have to be hard. I know there have been people in the past that will say it has to be this complicated thing and you need to email every day. You do not. In fact, most people don't want emails from you every day. So you want to just go for initially that once a week where you're sharing out good content, and then you can throw some promotional ones in between. Okay. So we're almost getting through this list. So this room is going really fast. I am excited to have you all here. Welcome, Sahar and Tamisha. Yay. And Jana. Woohoo. Thank you for sharing out. Yasmin, Julie. Oh, good to see you again. Jasmine, too. All right. Rashida, Sharon, Guantam, and Miranda. Awesome. So if you guys have questions about this, I would love for you to raise your hand and we can talk about it a little more before I get to the next 2 steps. But these are like the foundation. If you can get these going, you're going to be way ahead of most of the creators that are out there because you've got the right things in place to begin with. If you have these already, and I know some of you are further along and have some of these things, the next thing I want you guys to think about is what could be another free lead magnet that you could be offering. Like, what is the next level that your audience is looking for? What's something else? So you can switch it up and get in front of new audiences. What are some new content things that you could be pulling together? What other questions have you got so you can start using that in your content? Because then you're just taking it to the next level if you've got a lot of this content already and this foundation in place. Okay, so step number 6 is one where it's a little bit optional. I'll be honest, you don't have to do this one. And a few years ago, I've been working with people a long time. I would not have said this, but now I can tell you that this one is a little bit more optional, but it's also something you kind of want to get in place at some point in your process, and that's getting a website and probably a blog up and running. And the reason it's not absolutely necessary anymore is we have all these other places where people can connect with us. In the past, like there wasn't so much, and I'm talking way back at the beginning because I've been doing this so long. This was before Facebook and before Instagram, before we had those places to direct message people, you had to get online somewhere so that they could find you and get connected with you. But now you can get started without that and then get your website and a blog going. And the reason I want you to get a blog going is because of the long-term impact of that content. And this is one of the things I'm really focusing on for 2023. So if you want to write this one down and think about it for yourself too, I think we have in the last couple years really shifted to a lot of this short-term content. And by that, I mean things that you create. Say you create an Instagram reel, you post it on Instagram, it gets its views for the next 24 hours or the next few days, and then it's on to the next reel and on to the next reel and all this kind of short-term content that sort of disappears on us. But the reason I want you to think about doing a blog at some point here at the beginning is that information becomes long-term content that lives on and on for you and keeps bringing you people. So it doesn't, once again, does not have to be a written blog. I do, most of my blog posts are my podcast episodes. So each week I get new content on the site, new blog posts with just linking to the podcast episode and talking about it. You could even do, if you're doing the clubhouse rooms, do a clubhouse room once a week and then share out the audio from that room on a blog each week. Does not have to be super time consuming, but it does give you a way to kind of be creating that consistent content. Another few more ways you can do this on this long-term content concept, which is what I'm really wanting to do more of in the year ahead, is Pinterest. So follow Jana and get a hold of all of her stuff about Pinterest, because it is not social media as much as it is a search engine. So I believe, Jana, you can correct me if I don't have this right, but I'm pretty sure you had mentioned that it's like the third search engine after Google and after uh, YouTube, then is Pinterest. So that one's going on my list for 2023. Another piece of this kind of long-term content idea is definitely YouTube. I have ignored that one for too long because I don't like doing video, but it lives forever. You can get people clicking through and watching your stuff and coming back to you 2 years, 5 years. The other day I came across a video that was like 8 years old and it was still good content. So be thinking about that as this next step is like, what am I going to do short-term content wise? And what am I going to do more long-term content wise in 2023? And then the last step that of our 7 steps here is I want you to create a little bigger course. And maybe this is your signature course, or maybe it's just a bigger course. But the main purpose of that is you get higher price, higher revenue, plus you get to work with people maybe a little longer. You get to build up those relationships so getting that bigger course in place can be the next step. So I want you to start with that though. Like, let's get that mini course going first, because you may not quite have the time to do it. You might not have worked with enough people at the beginning. It could take you a little bit longer to create. And so let's get that first one up and running and get it out into the world and get people started with you. So I'll recap as we, in a moment, go through kind of the 7 again. So if you missed any of the bigger ones, you can jot those down. But you can see there's a decent amount of work in pulling all of this together. But I have some ideas that can help you with it. So the first thing that I want to suggest is make sure you think about what tools would be the best fit for these different pieces, because there's some good tools going on special right now. And one, I really like the way Kajabi works, because all of these pieces that I just talked about, you can do them all in Kajabi. You don't have to have separate blog and website and course hosting. Like, it's all together. It hosts your videos. It's got the whole thing. And they're doing a special right now. So if you want to know more about that, let me know. I'm also going to swap out this link up here, because the other piece of what I have done this year is I recognize like how much Kajabi can save people in the headaches. Because what had happened, and I'll tell you, this happened to me and this has happened to a lot of my clients, is they kind of piecemeal their content and their tools together. So I started and I had a WordPress website, and then I was like, oh, wait, I need to go and get a shopping cart that will work really well. So I have a shopping cart. And then, a couple years before that, I had bought a landing page software. And then before that, I was using some separate tools for hosting video. And the challenge with that is you do have to spend a lot of time then making all that stuff work together. I spend a significant amount of my week getting things in sync. So you don't have to do that when you have these tools that are all built in and can all work together. So like a Kajabi, or there's some other ones. I just particularly like that one. And so I did a really detailed training that you can get on sale right now, and it will take you through the different pieces of this exactly step by step. Like, it is a monster of a course, but there's so much in here to make this easy for you. Like, it helps you with the brainstorming, it helps you with the actual content, it walks you through, like, where do I go do this? What do I click on? How do I make this work? So it's one of my very, very favorite courses because it's so detailed and like takes you all the way through it. So if you're interested, I am going to pin this up here. Now, if you're more like me and you've got kind of a mixture of things and you're trying to figure out how to, pull it together, your next thought is, what do I need the most right now? Like, what pieces of the puzzle am I missing? So that you can make sure that you get the right tool to help you with that. So maybe, for example, you are, oh goodness. You need help with YouTube. So we're going to focus on that, and that's going to help you with your hosting. If there's some social media things that you need to do, maybe there's a specific tool you need there. Or you want to add some courses this year, but you don't want to have to buy a full tool. Maybe you just want some kind of course host that you can work with. So you can see there's lots of options. So if you ever need help figuring out, like, what is it I should be doing, just feel free to give me a quick DM and I can help you out, because I think that's one of the things that can get in the way for folks is like, ooh, which tool, what the tech can really hang you up as you're going through things. Okay, so let's see. Trying to get the right link for you guys. We have a bunch of different ones. So I want to make sure I'm sending you to the one so that you can get the course on sale right now. Like, way on sale. $700 off on sale. So let me make sure I'm getting the right link. Okay. All right. And then I want to go back through these other steps for you. Okay. There's that link. And then let's see. Oh, nobody has hand raised. Okay, let's see. Tamisha, love Kajabi. Yes, I do too. I do too. Gina has a really good question here. What if I have several niches? And I will tell you, this one is a challenge. And but here's some thoughts for you. The first one is, write them all down, keep track of all your ideas related to each one. Maybe you have a different notebook for each niche that you want to work with. And then I want you to pick one and focus on that one first, because and I love this explanation that I heard once, and it was that a dog can't chase two rabbits at the same time. Because if you think about it, they got to pick one and chase one and catch one, but then they can come back later and get that other one. So that's kind of how I want you to think about it. If you've got multiple niches, like, figure out which one you like the best, the one you're most excited about, and probably the one that you think you can reach the easiest, and use that one first. And then we're not gonna, like, never do the other ones. We're gonna come back to those later, but let's get that one up and running and get it going. So hopefully, Gina, that'll help you out with that. Teresa, yes, WordPress hurts my brain. Amen. Amen on that. I agree with you. A website platform that's user friendly. So the good thing about the Kajabi link that I posted up here is they will do your website too. So all of those things you can pull together, including your website, including your landing pages, including your course. all of that and your email newsletter all in one tool. So once you kind of learn how to edit, then it all fits together so that you don't have to learn 16 tools. You all do it all in Kajabi. So let's see, Gina, where is Julie posting? The link at the top of the room is my Kajabi training. So if you want to get a hold of that, I've got it on sale right now because Kajabi has an incredible special. Usually you can only get it for 14 days for a 14-day trial. And right now they're giving people 60-day trials. So if we go back to the concept I was talking about at the beginning of the hour about your fastest path to cash, you can get signed up, go through this Kajabi Kickstart training, get the setup going in these next 60 days, and then you've got all of this going so that when you do get to paying for Kajabi, you've got the income coming in already. That's the intention for this Kajabi Kickstart training. It shows you how to set up your one-on-one course. It shows you, or your coaching. It shows you how to set up your website. It shows you how to set up your course and gets into all the details for you. So that was the intention behind putting that course together. So hopefully that's helpful, Gina. All right, so let me recap these 7 steps in case the intention for this room is I wanted you to kind of think about what you have already and what you need to add for the year ahead. So step number 1 was to get that one-on-one coaching session up and running. You can even use something like paypal.me for people to pay you and pay you via PayPal. You don't have to have something complex. And then the next part of that, and sort of in conjunction, is to get a mini course together so you can be selling that. And you can sell those then to your current audiences. So the people who are listening to you on Clubhouse, your Instagram and Facebook followers, you don't even have to be doing complicated sales at this point. You're just messaging out and posting about those. And then the next piece, step 3, was to get that lead magnet and landing page set up so you're building your list. And then step 4 was to be sending out simple emails every week so that your audience gets used to hearing from you, that they get a message and they know, like, okay, I'm going to go click on it. Step 5 is to create some kind of content every week. So this is your Facebook Lives, your Clubhouse rooms, your blogs, whatever you like to do, start there. Like, I love audio, so that's why I do Clubhouse and podcasting. So pick the thing you like to do if you're going to do it every week. We don't want to be, if you hate video, don't make that what you're going to do. Pick the thing that you really like to do. Number 6 is getting that website and blog up and running. And that isn't immediate, but sometime in the next few months or so, you can get going on that. And then number 7 is to get that bigger course together so that you've got a higher revenue course that you can be sharing out. And it's probably something that's the next step off your mini course. So hopefully you can kind of see, like, this layout and this order really helps you get up and running fast. Like, I don't want you spending 6 months or a year without having the revenue coming in yet. We don't want that. Let's get something up and going within the next few weeks so you've got some revenue coming in the door right off the bat. And then you can expand out and keep growing into more courses and more options for people to work with you. All right, gang. So I hope this was helpful and gave you at least one idea of something that you hadn't thought about for 2023. Maybe it's figuring out course. Maybe it's even thinking about the long-term versus short-term content idea. That one I had not used in the past, and I'm really liking that idea for going forward to make sure I'm balancing those really well. So having things that are going to live for the long term and having some things that are just showing up short term on the sites that I'm working with. So, okay. All right. I said we would do this in 30 minutes. So I believe we hit everything that I was wanting to talk about. But if you guys have any questions, feel free. This will be last call, but feel free to raise your hand and we can talk about like where you're at or your niche or kind of what you're working on. Hey, Gina. Good morning or good afternoon. Happy Friday. Let me bring you up there.
Yes.
Yay!
Did I get
Hey,
it right?
welcome. How are you, Gina?
Thanks. Great, Julie. Great to hear you on today. Thank you so much for all your generosity here and telling us your great ideas.
Oh, you're
So,
welcome.
yeah, I would love to share where I'm at and get your take on it. I'm, if that's okay, yeah. So I'm working on a course with somebody to put out. It's addiction in the workplace. It's for VPs of HR. So that's a course thing. And then I'm like, okay, it's okay, but it's a little bit like, I don't know, not stuffy or boring or stressful. I kind of wanted to start like something else that was around mindfulness or decluttering, or maybe a food program like mindful eating, or like mindfulness maybe, or helping people get clean and sober. Like I have, so those are my ideas. I think those are my 4 ideas. Um, that I think, well, maybe I should do one of those for fun, like do the other one. But what do you think about that?
Which one are you most excited about? Like, which one are you thrilled to be teaching and helping people with?
I think just off the top of my head, it's mindfulness, like just to get quiet and calm. Yeah.
Awesome. So I will tell you, I'm not a huge fan of doing two at the same time because it fractures your energy a bit. Like if you're trying to build the audience and you can only get in front of half as many people because you're developing two different
Right.
audiences, but if you do want to do that, then I would do that one plus whichever. I think you were saying you're already started on the addiction in the workplace one. So
Yep.
did you say you had a partner with the addiction in the workplace one?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's good too, because that means that they can carry some of the load of marketing and selling that one and helping you get into the audience with that one. So that'll give you a little more time for the other one.
Yeah. And then I wanted to, and a couple of VAs I've got through this program that are reasonably priced, so that helps too. um like if I did one-on-one coaching, it would have to be in one of those niches, right? Like it'd be coaching on what, right? I have to advertise it as something. um
Yeah, and I would definitely pick the two that you want to work in. Like, don't do a different one because then you're even fracturing your messaging even
okay.
more. So, either do one-on-one with, I think you could maybe do it with some managers who are business managers, VP kind of things where they're freaking out. Maybe they've got employees that they've got a problem with and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So they could be getting some instant coaching with you. And I think there's and this is a message for everybody too, is there's kind of a big pain point there. Like they need to deal with this right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they'd be more willing to jump into something as opposed to like what's something that's like, oh, maybe I kind of want to redecorate my office,
Right.
but I don't have this immediate need to have to do that today. But if I have an employee with a challenge, I need to take care of that right away. So I
All
think
right,
that would
cool.
be good.
And I could market that on, would I market on LinkedIn or just the other ones as well, like Pinterest and the ones that you mentioned today, Facebook and
So I think for the business ones, definitely LinkedIn, because that's where your audience is hanging out.
okay. Yeah.
And if you're that would probably be the best place to do your marketing. The other places I would think would be a little less likely to find folks for that. Now, mindfulness, that one could be all of the social medias. I think there's interest in that everywhere. So I think
Yeah.
you'd be.
And successful maybe. What would you charge, Julie? What do you suggest I would charge to start? Hurrah.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you my like 5 minute or shorter version of pricing, and I'm gonna meet you real quick here.
Thanks.
Or if you can just click the little
Yeah.
mute button.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then we won't have any background. Thanks. So pricing. Number one, most important, essential thing for when you're trying to figure out what to price anything that you're doing really is you have to be 100% comfortable and confident in the price that you are charging. So that's where you want to start, because what happens is that comes through in everything that you're doing, all of your marketing and everything that when you're promoting and talking to people about it. If you're charging 10 times what you think it's really worth, or you're not quite sure, that's going to come through as kind of a hesitancy. So 100% confident in whichever number you pick. Then after that, I want you to think a little bit about the value of what it is that you're offering and how much of a pain point you're solving. So, like the business folks that you're wanting to help, that's a big pain point. They need to get that taken care of. And with that, they may also be able to have the business pay for it, as opposed to something that's want to take care of my office. I have to take care of that. But if this is through work, they can probably have the business covering, so you can charge a little bit more. And then think about what number you need just to cover the time that you're spending. So, if it, and think about, okay, if let's say I'm going to do an hour call for a month to help this manager get through this situation with this employee. So they'll get a call with me every week. So 4 hours with you. What is it you want to be making at a minimum for that hour, and subtract off the taxes that you're going to have to pay on that time. And so that gives you kind of your minimum number that you want to play with. And then you can play with it from there. You just kind of have to test. So maybe you offer it at one price and you kind of see, does anybody jump on it? If they don't, then you could try a lower price and kind of see how it's going. So that's kind of my short version. There's a lot more details you can get into, but does that give you a place to start?
Yep, definitely, Julie. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, so good to see you again, Gina. I'm excited. I'm so glad, because I know you've been working on this workplace course for a while, so I can't wait to see it live.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. It's been great to have you. You're inspirational always when I plug in and listen to you. It's great to hear you. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited. And is there any other questions you have?
I don't. I think with the Kajabi, yeah, I just actually signed up for it, so I don't need another one like Keep as a management system as a contact if I have
Nope,
Kajabi.
you don't. It manages all of that for you. It's a much better one, I will be honest, for course
All right.
creators. So yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just got it. I thought it. Yeah, I've been thinking that's the one kind of I want because it seems like a really sweet one. So I got it. Yeah.
Awesome. Woohoo. You are all set.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right.
And it said, I think the price was like for the year, it was like $295 for the year or something like that. They knocked it down from 700 or something. Is that about right? Something like that.
For Kajabi, I'm not sure it's quite that inexpensive, but they do have right now that you can get started for 60 days for free. So they want you to get up and get running, and I'm gonna put that up here for you guys so you can get a hold of this if you want to check it out and see. Hopefully this is the right link. Let's see. Yeah. So this will get you the 60 days free to go out and play with it, get started, get set up, get your first mini course up. And then they don't charge you then until after your 60 days are up. So
All right. And then the mini course is like, how do you define that? Like 4 hours or 4 half hours, 4 lessons?
So I like to keep it even shorter than that, honestly. I could see 4 to 6 lessons, but I like it when you guys can keep your videos shorter. We all have such a really short attention span these days that if you can put the videos together to be 10, 15 minutes and you've got 4 to 6 lessons and you're getting an outcome, like that's the big thing, is making sure that you get the outcome. That's kind of my favorite setup. but there's always exceptions to that. So I'll mention like that Kajabi Kickstart course. It's got way more videos than that because it needed to, because there was so much to it and so many details that I wanted to make sure everyone knew. But my default for doing a mini course is that, 4 to 6 lessons, maybe 15 minutes or less for each one, and have a really concrete outcome. So does that help?
Yeah, awesome. And then the larger one is like an hour or whatever, of like 10 or whatever, or 12, like you had your course, right? Like about like that.
Yeah, and the larger one, you can definitely, it may end up being bigger. It doesn't have to be bigger though. Let's not connect the length of the course with the pricing of it, because, and I'll tell this story. It's from a gal named Brooke Castillo. She tells this, and I thought this was so good. If y'all haven't heard this from me yet, she was talking about if you go to the dentist is like, hey, I'm really, really sorry, but you're going to have a root canal and it's going to cost you $1,500. And I've got 2 different ways we can do it. The first one's going to take 5 minutes and the second one's going to take an hour. Which one do you want? And they cost the same price. We're all going to want that 5-minute root canal. And it's kind of the same thing with courses. People want that short version of get them the results. Like you have to give them enough to get them there, but they don't want everything, because you're such an amazing expert. Like you've got so much knowledge to share, but they want it in the shortest, most easily absorbed process. And I was talking to my daughter last night, and she's in a course. She's taking a few courses to get a computer science minor. And we were talking about one of her professors, and he's teaching some concepts to them that can be really pretty simple. But he's going in and he's making it sound like complicated math, the way he's teaching it to them. And it was just so frustrating because I'm like, he's making this so complicated. It just is a really simple concept. And he doesn't need to explain it that way. Like, explain it in this way that just is so much simpler. So the best course creators are the ones who take the time to do that, because it's really hard to do that. Like, that isn't necessarily the default for us, is to figure out the easiest, simplest, fastest way, especially if you're doing a topic that you're really excited about, because then you want like to know everything about that topic. So being able to go ahead.
Yeah. That's something like, make it small. That's something I wanted some help with. I mean, I put courses together before, but what's the best way to do it, to put content together
Yeah.
for lesson plans and interesting and all that kind of jazz, right?
Yeah, really good question. So I'll give you guys some thoughts on maybe that will help with some of this. So start with having a really specific outcome of your course. So what is it that when I get done, what am I going to have? So like my Kajabi Kickstart course, it's going to help you get all of those 7 steps that I talked about. The outcome is it tells you how to do all of them. That's the outcome. So then you go back and you're like, okay, that's what I wanted them to have, all the students, to have this 7 steps with all of the things that they needed. So how am I going to do that? So each step got its own set of lessons so that I could make sure and break it down. So each step had to have a certain kind of training and lessons to help with that. So for the mini course one, I needed to explain first, help people figure out like what should be in my mini course. That was the brainstorming piece. And then I had to help show them like, how do I go set this up? What do I click on? What images do I need? And so I was actually going through it when I was creating it and really giving them the steps. So I was creating a demo site as we were doing it so I could make sure I hit everything. So for you, like if you're helping, let's say that manager with an employee that's got an addiction problem, the end result is what? Tell us what that would be at the end of your course.
Yeah, he'd be able to know where he wouldn't be crossing a legal line. He wouldn't be diagnosing. He'd just know the steps he could take with the employee to do his part in the sort of things that had to be done, like how to have that conversation, and take care of it if he's drunk on the job, and pass on to HR through the rest of the funnel in the organization. Yeah.
There you go. So you just gave me the 3 key steps to your course. You know, how do I handle it? What if they're drunk on the job? And then how do I connect them with HR? Now, as you're going through, you may decide, oh yeah, there's one more I need to have, like maybe it's about some legal piece of the puzzle that they need to make sure. So you add in a lesson, or maybe you're going through and you're like, wow, this section on working with HR is, there's a whole lot here, and maybe I don't necessarily have to have all of this. So one little secret ninja tip I will give you guys, if you come across something in your course that you've kind of created already and you're like, maybe this isn't absolutely necessary to make it happen, then you can make that a bonus, make that an extra thing, because it's still good content, still good information, but it's not the essential path to get from A to B, of to get to that outcome. It's still good stuff. It could either, it could be a bonus, maybe it becomes its own standalone course, even if it's depending on how much content it is. But so that's one way to kind of think through it too.
That's
Does
awesome. Thanks. Yep.
All right, good deal. Thank you for those awesome questions, Gina. I love that. And hopefully that can help you narrow down like what should be in the course. And I really like to do some kind of summary of the lessons before you start creating. So like I'm a list person, so I will do the listing. Some of my folks are more, they like to do the mind mapping. So that works too, where you kind of mind map out what the different lessons are. Other people will take Post-it notes and kind of rearrange Post-it notes and put things in order and be like, okay, is this a bigger topic, the whole module, or is this just a lesson? And kind of you can rearrange the Post-it notes, whatever is your best way to kind of organize. Get that outline put together before you start creating, because then you'll have a good flow for how you think things should progress for your students.
Okay, and then the last one, Julie, is like, how do we get it out onto the internet, or get it out to be get it out there for advertising?
Oh, that's a good one too. Kind of long, so I'll have you unmute for this
Yeah.
one too.
Okay.
Okay, so the best thing for this first off is to know who it's going to. So like you already know, Gina, you want to help managers and VPs of businesses. So you know who you're trying to reach. That is huge. So that's where you start, is like, okay, who are the people? And it doesn't have to be really, really specific. Like you don't need to know a specific type of business, or you don't need to know uh, certain, is it male or female, like that part isn't as relevant for you, but you do have the specific who that you're trying to reach. And then we want to think about, where's that person already hanging out online? So for you, we're talking about LinkedIn. That's where they're probably going to be online. There may also be some other places where they're connecting. So some kind of organizations maybe. Did a podcast episode about this a few weeks ago, and it was really interesting. So there was a friend of mine who he helps engineers who want to do better presentations, who want to be better speakers. And he was noticing that kind of the standard marketing techniques weren't working as well for him, because he was trying to reach engineers and scientific kind of types. And he's like, yeah, they don't do webinars and that kind of thing. So, but he figured out that one of the places that his group is hanging out is these engineering associations. So he's found several of them that he partners with. And when he works with them, they get a percentage of the sales. And then they present it out to their membership and say, hey, this guy can help you be a better presenter. Here's his course. You can go sign up. And then they get a percentage of that for the club, and he gets students for his course. So sometimes we have to get a little creative of like figuring out, where are my audience, where are my people hanging out, and so that then you can connect with them. So I think another probably good place for you, Gina, would be on podcasts that are specifically targeting leaders, business leaders. So there's a website called listennotes.com for anybody that wants to go look for podcasts that you could be a guest on and share. You want to go on and like share really good content. And then at the end, you share out that freebie that we were talking about so they get on your list. And then you can offer them access to your course or your one-on-one coaching, that kind of thing. So does that give you some ideas of kind of how to move forward?
Yeah, so good. And that Kajabi would do that, right? You can put the content and then you send out, grab their email, and then you, after the freebie, then you send out 1 or 2 nurtures, and then you send out the course.
Yes, 100%. It handles it all for you. So you create your freebie, you create the landing page inside Kajabi that captures the name and the email, and then you send the email all within there. You're not doing any kind of fancy stuff like, because I've been doing this for, oh gosh, I think I signed up for Lead Pages back in 2014 when it came out. So I have all these pages where people can sign up with me that have already been created, and then I have to get them from Lead Pages over to my email. But you won't have to do that with Kajabi. You'll have the page and then they'll sign up and it'll be in Kajabi. And then when you send your emails out, it'll go through Kajabi and it's all beautiful and smooth and easy. So um, way simpler than using 4 or 5 different tools.
Great, thanks.
Awesome. All right. Well, really good questions. Anybody else want to jump up and talk about what they've got going on? Or let me check the chat too and make sure. Okay, don't see any more questions over there. I hope you guys are excited about what you've got going on in the next year. I'm really getting excited about where we're headed because I think there's going to be this whole resurgence of people expanding. So thank you for jumping in on doing courses and getting your expertise out to the world because we need you. We need you desperately. So, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to jump in to the deep end of the pool and play with getting online, getting your business up and running, and helping people because it is can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, but it's so worthwhile and so needed. So thanks for doing that. Anything else you need, Gina? Thanks for coming on stage. Anything else?
No, thank you so much. I'm thinking of helping my friend because she's having a time getting, she's got a porn recovery program out for men, and I'm thinking about helping her maybe a little bit. But I mean, it takes a bit of work, but it's not that bad, is it? Like to time to get something up and going. If you put your mind to it, like you said, and keep it simple, I think it's one of those things that we might make into a mountain, and it's really a molehill, right?
Yes, 100%. And just to put this in the back of the mind for anybody else who's listening, if you're interested, over Martin Luther King Day weekend in January, I'm going to have a 3-day version of my 24-hour course creator. So if you're wanting to get a course up, it lays out exactly how to get pretty much a mini course up and running over the weekend, and it's really fun. We did it a couple of weeks ago in November, and the gals were like, "Oh my goodness, I've never been so focused before." Like we literally sit down and you do the work all weekend, and then I check in with you, and we have coaching throughout the weekend. So just put that in the back of your mind. If you're interested, be sure and let me know because I only do them a couple times a year. And it gives you a way, if you're one of those people that just wants to sit down and get it done, that's a really good way to do it. Like use that 3-day weekend to jump in and get going. So, oh, Jasmine, I'm so glad she said in the chat that it was really helpful. So I'm so glad, Jasmine. So excited that you could be here today. And Gina, really appreciate you. And I'll let you guys go and get on to the rest of your Friday. But please come join me. If you haven't yet, please follow. And you can click on my face and follow and click the little bell so you get notifications. I'm going to be doing a few rooms here and there and then a bunch once we hit January to really help people get going for the new year. So awesome. Thanks, Gina.
Awesome.
Take care.
You too, Julie. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Have a good Friday and weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon.
So I hope you enjoyed this little peek into what happens on Clubhouse and some of the things that get shared, plus giving you some ideas for those 7 things to have in 2023. Hope you'll join me either on Clubhouse or join me for some of the upcoming training. Love to work with you more. Have an incredible week, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.